It's a virtual session with the current. My name is Bill DeVille. So nice to have you along. And Kathleen Edwards is here with us. Hi, Kathleen. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. So tell me about its upheaval day there in Canada where you are. What in the world is upheaval day?
I have no idea. It's specific to the province of New Brunswick. So I guess they were upheaved very vigorously at some point in our history. And I don't know if it has to do with like the day in which, a lot of women move out of their boyfriends' houses or what the deal is, but it seems important. I should find out. I should find out.
Sounds good. So how have you been doing during these, well, let's just call them complicated times, the last, since March?
I'm doing okay. I mean, look, there are a lot of people in terrible, terrible uncertainty, and but I did find it very humorous that I expanded my professional life from musician to small business owner. And I always thought, I'd have one or the other to back up on. And not only did they cancel concerts indefinitely, they also made me close my coffee shop. So I was out two jobs, and the coffee shop is back up and running. And all my problems are good problems there. It's interesting, and I actually really have enjoyed owning a business that's kind of part of the neighborhood fabric that we can, or at least I can, with the assistance of my staff, sort of reinstill confidence in people that it's safe to come out, it's safe to go to your cafe, it's safe to see your neighbors. The news does not reflect accurately what it's like for you to leave your home and see someone face to face on a given day. So I've kind of liked being that person. It's been meaningful in a way. But debt has gone up significantly in my life, so that's a little scary. But we'll figure it out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, sounds good. How about some live music, Kathleen? What do you think?
Okay, you got it. I'm gonna play a song called "Options Open." Love you so much. Everything that you do, you say, you speak, you wear, it just works for me. But I'll blame it on a weekly flyer that took me out to crappy tire.
That is such a great song. I just love that song. Everything about it, it's near perfect to me. It's a great lyric, a great soulful vocal, a nice melody, and a great hook. Is that what you were kind of shooting for?
Uh, I don't know. You know, when I started writing this record, one of the things I really wanted to feel was that writing these songs was easy. And I don't mean like, you know, sometimes working and reworking songs is worth doing and it's hard work. And sometimes it's hard, you lose perspective of what you can cut and what's good and what's not good. With options open, I had this line about, you know, from a conversation I was having with my boyfriend at the time. I was like, look, you know, I in the past I was keeping my options open. I wasn't ready to commit, and I'm ready to commit now. And I just had this, you know, like I sat down the next day and I just, for 39 years I've been keeping my options open, and then it just kind of blew up from there, and the song just revealed itself to me in pieces. I also remember I wasn't sure how it was going to sound, and about a week later, after I'd figured out that line, I was in my car, and Roxy Music's "More Than This" came on, and says "More than this," and I remember "More than this," and then I heard, "For 39 years I've been keeping my options open." And so it kind of gave this like fun, playful spirit that I really wanted my record to have. And I wasn't really a Roxy Music fan by any means, but it found me at the right place at the right time, and that song just went zoop, and there it was. I took it to the band, and it didn't take a lot of work.
Yeah. Now, you stepped away from the music business for like 8 years. Do you think you picked a good time to come back?
I think I picked a terrible time, which is, you know, apropos, I guess. I mean, my first record came out in 2003, and I remember very distinctly, you know, at the time there wasn't even a digital literature in my contract with Rounder Records. They had to add it like, you know, 8 months, 10 months later, because suddenly digital was coming in, and suddenly, you know, we were having to rethink even what selling albums would look like. And I remember actually very clearly being on tour sometime in the spring of 2003. And there I was, you know, I was playing in Atlanta, and it was going to be a big night, and it was like a nice big theater, and momentum was going, things were going so well for me. And then, you know, just the Iraq war happened, and basically it just decimated, you know, anybody's desire to go out. You know, everyone wanted to stay home and watch the news. So all those shows, you know, over the years, I just remember times where I just think, well, you just got to roll with it. I mean, that's just the nature of stuff. And this is no different, really.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, I read somewhere that that Bob Seger's "Against the Wind" was kind of an inspiration to you on the new album. Is that true?
Well, I do remember listening to a lot of Raylan Baxter and a lot of Bob Seger, maybe in like a period of 6 months. And I loved sort of that, like what I was just talking about, this fluidity of the sense of the song, and the pocket that the band finds, and the guitar, the acoustic guitar, just having this really seamless and effortless feeling to it. And I loved that. And I love Night Moves and Against the Wind. And I just thought those were two songs that kind of captured that wonderful, the songs start, and everyone who knows the song, their head starts bobbing. And it's, I guess maybe that's like my Margaritaville.
Do you ever hear songs that you wish you'd written by artists?
Tons. So many. Wow, you really put me on the spot there. I know a lot of songs that I'm glad I didn't. No, songs I wish I'd written. I mean, I don't know. Like, the thing is, I could say I wish I'd written that song, but then that person wouldn't be singing it, and that's half the thing. Is is the person who's delivering that song. Great songs are kind of timeless. Okay, well, You've Got a Friend. I mean, basically any Carole King song ever. But I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. Jeez, you're gonna have to ask me that again, like in 6 months when I've had time to think about like the top 5 songs I wish I had written. Oh, everything
Fair,
I do, I
fair
do
enough.
it for you. We'll start there. Margaritaville. How about Damn, I feel like a woman. I'll just go with like the big money songs. I wish
There you
I'd written
go.
those.
There you go. How about another one of your tracks? Play another one for us. What would you like to play for us this time?
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm gonna play a song called "Who Rescued Who." This song is this song's about my anyone who's had to put down their beloved fur child knows this feeling very well, and I was lucky enough to have a golden retriever come into my life that changed everything, and I wanted to write something that kind of wasn't sad about him, and one of those driving songs where you feel like your dog's in the back seat and his tongue sticking out of the window. And so I wrote this song called "Who Rescued Who." It's on the record, but when I first took it into the studio, it was a slightly challenging because I really struggled just to even get through the first chorus without crying. So it's taken practice, but I've gotten there. And it's again like it's not a sad song. It's supposed to be a song about like the love of the memory of a great pet, of a great dog, a dog named Red. I picked you up on the other side of the river. Dogs and alcohol, they go so good together. You were so sweet, immediately. You just charm me with your skin and bones. Hop in the back seat. Here we go. Under the little catalpa tree is where I put you, with a rock that says your name that I had made for ya. And now my favorite thing to say is who rescued who, who rescued who, who rescued who. I picked up this habit I'm just trying to lose, called courage in a glass, that helps me keep up to you. 'Cause when we walk down the street, everybody would just stop and say, oh boy, aren't you so sweet? Oh, and I felt that too. Under the little catalpa tree is where I put you, with a rock that says your name that I had made for ya. And now my favorite thing to say is who rescued who rescued who rescued
That's nice. I can relate to that one. And since 2019, I had to put I lost 3 pets, 2 dogs and a cat. It's never easy, is it?
No, no, sir. And I lost two cats and a dog. So, but I have two dogs in the room with me right now. Actually, they're on their best behavior. They haven't snorted or like dream barked or anything.
So we just got a new dog, and we just found out he's a digger. Got a big hole in our
Oh,
backyard. That's not fun.
well, you know what? I might have a suggestion for that if you're
You
willing
do?
to, endure the look of it. But you should just order a big load of sand for a
Yeah.
corner of your property, and then he will be
Ah,
like, "That's my pile," and then he'll always dig on there, and then you can put it back up, and then go back in and dig in it, and because dogs love that. But if you give him a big pile of sand, and he'll probably be into it. But like amount, give him a good like 4 yards of sand.
there you go. Okay, I'm in on that. So I read that you did some songwriting for Maren Morris. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, it was about year 3 or 4. I've had Quitters, my coffee shop, for about 6 years now, and it was about 3 years ago. And I got a call from her manager saying Maren is working on a new record, and I would imagine, given her star being incredibly big at that time and still is, she sort of put out feelers, and I remember I was kind of feeling pretty stuck at Quitters. I was working long hours in the kitchen and navigating some tricky parts of having a startup business. And I thought, I'd love 3 or 4 days away. What's the worst that could happen? I'll go down to Nashville. I hadn't had a lot of time away. And so I said yes. And they were so generous. They flew me down and put me up for a few days. And I ended up working with her and the third person in the room, sort of as like a, kind of a icebreaker, was a guy named Ian Fitchuk. And Ian, at the time, had just finished producing Casey Musgrave's record with Daniel Tashian. And I didn't know Ian before. And I just felt like I met a really good friend that day and the few days we worked together. And Maren was lovely. And I had brought this song that I put away. I had a couple songs that were just dead weight in my journal, and I thought the ideas were good, but I just didn't really think that I could finish them. They were rooted in a painful memory, and I just didn't want to bring them to life. And I played some of the ideas for Maren and Ian, and they took to this one song called "Good Woman," and it was, she ended up making it a love song, which it was a love song that I'd written for somebody who basically didn't want to be with me. And she made it into a love song with somebody she was so happy to be with. And it's just a nice way of that thing to live, And she made it hers, and it was great.
Now your songs often seem so personal. What's it like writing a song for somebody else?
It was actually a one-off. I mean, I've really never written songs for other people, and I think because I had been so far removed from working on my own stuff, it felt really fun and really easy. I didn't feel like I was giving somebody something I wanted for me, or I didn't have any emotional baggage connected with the work that she ended up using. So it was really fun. I just don't think it's my natural state of being, but in that particular case, it was like a gift, for it to work out. It was really cool.
Yeah. Now, when you stepped away from performing and making records for a while, did you listen to a lot of music during that downtime?
For a while, I didn't. But as you know, any coffee shop that you go in, there's usually some music playing in the background. And because I was there from morning till night, at least definitely the first year and a half, I was employing young people who initially had terrible taste in music. I was pretty committed to making sure that good music was being played at Quitters, and it was actually really nice. I got to go back into sort of the vaults of my catalog and listen to stuff that I hadn't listened to in years, like all of Beth Orton's records and Led Zeppelin, and when Joe Cocker died, I for a full day we just listened to Joe Cocker records in the shop, and it's a really nice sort of like unintentional way of listening to music again, and it was a good environment for that, for sure. I fell in love with listening to songs again, that's for sure.
Now, since it's been like 8 years since you made an album, this whole Americana thing has kind of emerged, and you seem like what you do and your songs just kind of fit right into that mode. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I thought that's where I was the day I showed up, but and of course, funny enough, I've always thought it was Canadian and not Americana, but in my particular case. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see. It's nice to see that sort of genre of music be welcomed into people's idea of what they thought they liked, and not excluding it because they're not sure they like bluegrass, or they're not sure they like country music, or they're not sure they like yodeling. And then of course all these things work together in that genre at different times, along with like pop and rock and blues, and it's cool. I like it. It's nice.
Hmm. Now, you haven't toured in years, and eventually, I imagine you're planning on hitting the road. How do you feel about touring, when this pandemic finally ceases?
Well, I'm not afraid of germs. And I know some people will be like, well, it's not a germ. But I've been joking with a few people that, have you ever been to a music venue when the lights are all turned on? Because I'm telling you, there's something worse than COVID lurking in those corners that have not been cleaned for years. So let's open up the clubs and let's people decide, if they're going to be cool. No, I mean, I know we have to all feel comfortable, and there has to be some protocols in place. And I do understand that. I'm really looking forward to getting back out on the road. And obviously, it's going to look different for a while, and no one knows what that is. And it's tough. I feel for creators, and particularly performers of all kinds, because we're the first people that get called to play at a fundraiser or a charity show, and we're the first ones who show up to do that. And we're probably going to be the last ones to go back to work when this whole thing's done. And I really hope it makes people think about what music is worth to them. And there are a lot of amazing music fans out there that have supported, careers of people for decades, and their record collections. They've upgraded 5 times from vinyl to CD, back to vinyl, back to. And I really value those people. They're so. It's so nice to know that they care about the work we do, and I just hope that people realize, like, musicians are going to have to go back to work, and we're just going to have to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, how about another song? What do you think, Kathleen?
Yeah, well, I went for a long walk this morning with my lovely dog, and a few nights ago I heard this song on the radio, and so I spent the morning during my walk learning this song in my head so I could maybe play it today. And I think it's a really appropriate song for right now. So one, two, three, 4. Comes a time when you're drifting. Comes a time when you settle down. Comes a light, feelings lifting. Lift that baby right up off the ground. Oh, but this whole world keeps spinning around. It's a wonder tall trees ain't laying down. There comes a time, comes a time. You and I, we were captured. We took our souls and we flew This whole world keeps spinning around. It's a wonder tall trees ain't laying down. There comes a time. There comes a time.
Nice. I love it. Neil Young. So you run a coffee shop. How do you like your coffee? What's your favorite coffee drink or whatnot?
Before I opened Quitters, I actually thought of the other name for my coffee shop could be Brown Water because, it basically is just brown water. I like my coffee strong. And I just kind of learned that, it's pretty simple to make a good cup of coffee. You use a really good roaster, you get some good equipment, and, you make sure that everything works right and your water's really well filtered, and you kind of can't go wrong. That's my theory. It's pretty simple.
So when I start my shift on the radio every day, I have my tagline: "Coffee and rock and roll, and I'm good to go."
Yeah, well, coffee and I'm good to go. I actually only drink like 1 cup a day. Or maybe two. I'm not a like crazy got the shakes person, and I'm also not one of those people who knows how to do crazy latte art. My staff showed me up. Like I started having to hire people within the first few months, and they are the ones that actually learned how to do like swans and crazy rosettas and all this stuff. And I mean, I can barely do a heart, which my heart looks more like a latte bum than it does a heart. I'm no good at latte art, but I'm good at drinking it.
You got to think of a way to combine coffee and performing at the same time. I mean, have a little coffee stand next to the stage or something. Do you think?
Well, I've been joking and telling friends I'm a musician and I've got nowhere to play. I've got no gigs and I've got a coffee shop that no one can sit in. So I actually have been using my cafe to do some web broadcasting and trying to put some cool shows together, maybe for the future. I'm trying to do it, but it's a lot of work. Like it's kind of church. Where church and state meet, and they really don't belong together. It's a little too much, but we're trying.
Nice. Well, so nice chatting, Kathleen Edwards. Congratulations on the new album, Total Freedom, which is due in stores in a couple of weeks. And thanks so much. Congratulations on the record, and take care of yourself. Stay safe.
Thanks, and it's really nice to have the support of Minneapolis. I spent some time there, and it's a really special place in the United States. I really love your town.
Well, I hope you make it back maybe by 2021 or so, or thereabouts. Take care.
Yeah. Bye.
It's been a virtual session with Kathleen Edwards on The Current.